So actually, I'm going to give you all fair warning. The last masterclass I did was a total disaster because I had power issues like basically when it was supposed to be live, and I had to cancel it at 3 days before. So I
Oh,
rescheduled it for later that week, and three people turned up to the masterclass. But what was even more funny is, when somebody gives you like an amazing piece of advice, one of my friends who does a similar thing to me was like, you need more slides. Like the way you present and talk to the camera, you need more slides. Have at least 70 slides so that people have something to focus on. So I turned up with like 70 slides, basically was losing my place all the way through the deck and all about that all the way through. So today I'm returning back to my natural form, which is standing up, and you'll get to see my lovely face all the way through. So you'll be pleased to know there'll be no death by PowerPoint for any of you today. The other thing that's quite funny this week, and I'm sure this has happened to some of you before, is when you're walking past something and you happen to like kick your little toe on the side of a sofa. Has
oh,
that ever happened to any of you guys before? Right? So
yeah.
the little toe just poking out. It doesn't help. I do like to walk a little bit like with my feet pointing out. But anyway, I kicked my toe 4 days ago. And then yesterday, I did it in the exact same spot in the exact same place. So right now, I won't show you because I don't want to make more people leave before we start. But I have a really gross, like, left foot. But I decided I'm going to stand up anyway because it just suits me much, much better. So I'm really, yeah, glad I managed to make it here with power and without my foot kind of exploding. Um, so, a quick bit of honesty before we get into this, right? At the end, I will show you my new program that I've just launched. The reason I'm telling you now is so you can relax. Like, that's the pitch out of the way. It's happened. At the end, you'll see it all. The price will be included, and you can decide for yourself. I'm not someone who does sales calls, so it won't be anything to book. Basically, if you want in, there'll be an application form. I'll read it, and then I only take people on that I know I can help. And because it's a small group, because it's the first time I've run it, then I'll work directly with everyone in there. So that's it, all out of the way. We can all relax. It's not going to be like one of those timeshares where you turn up and sit there for 5 hours and someone tries to sell you loads of stuff. I'm not going to do that today. So the sold to speak system, why this is important to me and why I'm really passionate right now about this is because I'm in the same industry as you guys, right? All of us sell knowledge. Knowledge is the thing that we sell basically for our businesses. And there's something that's coming up now, which we all know about, which is causing us to need to change the way that we operate. So a little bit of background on me. Last year, I did six figures entirely through LinkedIn. I did that by doing the classic sending people DMs that were personalized based on something my AI had found on their page. And I sent the DMs, and then I would spend sort of 8 to 14 messages having a conversation with them, and then getting them towards a qualification point where I could get them onto a discovery call and then onto a sales call where I would pitch my high ticket program at the time. So proper LinkedIn bro stuff. If you went back to look at my stuff 18 months ago, it would be the I'll help you get to 10K a month like within 8 weeks, for example. And don't get me wrong, the program worked, the process worked, but it was something that took me probably 4 hours a day of building rapport in messenger conversations and remembering where I was at with everybody and all of that kind of stuff that I did. Oh, and by the way, if you do have questions as we're going through, just pop yourself off mute and just interrupt me and ask me the question. You don't have to wait till the end. There will be a Q&A, but you don't need to wait for it, basically. So as I said, it was profitable for me. I got to that magical six figures over the course of a year, but it totally burnt me out. And then towards the end of last year, the system started breaking anyway. So I was still sending out 25 connection requests every day. I was still sending all the DM messages to people. I was putting in the same amount of effort, but the whole thing just became much harder. And it's nothing new to do it this way. Like this has been going on and being sold by marketing and sales gurus for probably the last 5 years. In 2021, it worked really well because people weren't used to being pulled from their pain points from the DMs, and people kind of had more time, which is funny because obviously now we have AI, it's supposed to make life easier for us and give us less things to do. But people were happier to have a conversation in the DMs because they still believe that there might be some positive intention behind it, whether it be networking or something else. Whereas now we all sort of know when we get that message in our inbox and it says, hey, I saw that you did this in 2021. How did you get into that? I'd love to find out more about what you're doing. We all know what's happening, right? We can smell it, we can feel it. We've probably doing it ourselves. And the reason that it's dying is not just because everybody's running the exact same playbook now. It's because it's like turning up at someone's front door, knocking on the door and saying, hey, is it okay if I like come around for dinner or if I use your toilet or whatever, before you've provided any value to them at all. So these questions like, how did you get into your role? How did you start your business? It's all fake pleasantries that we're forced to exchange in. And people are sick of it, like sick to death of it. It's really a thing of the past. But the good news about that is it gives us an opportunity, right? Now, just letting someone else in. You're all experts, you sell expertise, and that used to work really well on its own because knowledge used to be scarce, right? People would buy your knowledge and they'd be happy getting that information from you. Of course, you all did more stuff than that as well. Like you've got your implementation capability, you've got the experiences you've been through, but people don't get to see that until they actually pay you a lot of money to work with you already. They don't get to see that up front unless you're following a certain process of how you communicate online. And now that everybody has AI and ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, if you're that way inclined, whatever, these tools know us better than anyone. I don't know if you've ever heard in the past, but like Facebook knows you better than your spouse does because of the data that you give it, the things you scroll over, the stuff you look at, right? So Facebook already knew you better than anybody else, better than your spouse. So just imagine what AI knows about you with the depth of the questions that you ask it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. You can even test this by asking whatever AI you use. ChatGPT is the best one for it. Tell me everything you know about me in every area of my life. And I'm telling you, it will shock you. If you haven't done it before, try it. So AI provides genuinely good knowledge on demand for free, which means that knowledge is free. Like generic free education does not sell anymore, if it ever did. And it can't because it's identical to what everyone else's AI produces. It's not specific enough to stand out. The buyers know they can get it without you. And also, like I could probably go in and say, I'm an expert in this area, give me 10 topic ideas and produce stuff that's better than 80% of the shit you see on LinkedIn when you scroll your feed, right? We all see it. We've all been guilty of it, including me, which I will get into a little bit later. So what's the moat? Well, the only moat that we have left now is you, right? It's your personality, your journey, the things you've done differently, the scars you've picked up along the way. Like, even if you think you're boring, I can promise you, you're not, right? We're all individuals with masses of information, history, things we've been through, things we've experienced. And there is somebody going through the same stuff that you've already been through, which is probably why you started your business in the first place, right? You have experiences that nobody else has got, and they'll resonate with an audience big enough that will give you the freedom that you probably started your business for, right? You started business and got out of work or whatever else you did to get freedom. And you have this information, you've got this experience already. So that gap between people showing their true journey and people pretending to have everything figured out, like if you look on LinkedIn, you think everyone's making 50 grand a month, it's widening, right? That people are seeing this difference and getting really sick of AI content. You'll probably notice that people are even saying they're sick of people talking about AI content, which I know is ironic because that's literally what I'm doing now. But the next 12 months are really going to decide which side of it you're on, right? And after that, catching up is going to be harder because people are figuring this out. You can see with the more authentic and organic content that's coming out, right? And again, just back to the point I made earlier, you're probably thinking, yeah, I know all this. It's about implementation and all of that. That's true, but people don't know they need you to implement. Right? Sometimes I take a really good photo and I'll send it to my friend Michael, who's a photographer, and he'll look at it and he'll be like, shit. Right? And I think it's amazing. So it's the same with everything else. It's the same with content, all of this other stuff, whatever you do. People don't know that they need you to implement stuff. And if your content doesn't make them feel like they know you, trust you, and want to buy from you, which is my mantra, known, trusted, and bought, like you're in trouble. So we're going to dig into all three of those today, right? Now, a bit of science behind some of this because I don't just want to give my opinion, but the amount of content online is up almost 50% in just the last 2 years. It's even more than that over 3 years. Everyone's organic reach is down by more than half on LinkedIn and on other platforms. And I bet if you check yours, it's the same. And there's a wave of redundancies happening all over the world, right? People that are white collar knowledge workers with a ton of experience are being made redundant. And that's going to push a wave of new experts into the space. And they're going to come into this space right now. So, or over the next year at least. Now, if the attention that you're trying to get feels expensive today, just think about what it's going to cost in a year, right? The volume's going to grow again. It's never going to stop. And then the reach is going to half again. And there's going to be even more generic content that anybody could post, even if you're an expert with your unique journey, which I know every single one of you are, right? Or is. So the other side of it is AI will keep improving, right? So AI is going to get better, give better information, better knowledge. So we need to be able to stand out while people are getting tired of generic, bland output. That fatigue that we're seeing, that I'm sure you guys are feeling as well, is an opportunity for experts with a personality, which is all of you, right? Whether you believe it or not, okay? So let me talk a little bit more about me and my journey and how I ended up to where I am already. Some of you will have read this already if you're on my email list, but I'm going to tell you anyway, because it's the only story I have that explains why I built what I built. So I had a successful content agency, which collapsed coming up to 4 years ago now, actually. And it was complacency in that business that did me all the damage, right? I had good margins. We were producing content for some great clients. The work was good. The feedback was good. We lived on referrals because we could, right? It was an industry where all the people that we worked with pretty much knew each other or were in the same events and whatever else. No worries, Richard. That's cool. You can come back. We will still be here. And I basically like knew how to build brands, create content systems, turn people's thinking into useful stuff before AI, although we did have pre-GPT models in the content world that I was in. But then I pretty much stopped building any pipeline. I stopped trying to get new customers and clients because one, I was thinking that it would never run out, but two, the delivery that I was doing consumed everything. I was sending Slack messages all day. I had issues with freelancers. There was client questions and all these problems that needed solving, where I basically became a professional forwarder of messages between adults that probably should have been enabled to speak to each other directly. You can read into that however you want. So from the outside, it was a really successful agency doing 35K a month turnover, but on the inside, it was fragile. And towards the end of it, it still looked pretty successful, but I got to the stage where I was borrowing rent money from my mum, right? And I live like 12,000 kilometers from home. I've got 2 young children. I'm married. So you imagine a grown man running what people thought was a thriving business and texting his mum about rent at the same time. And it took me about 6 months to really get to the bottom of that and hit rock bottom and realize like what had happened. And basically, I'd seen the same thing happen to plenty of businesses since. So the client work becomes busy. You're doing really, really well. You've got lots of stuff coming in. Your calendar's full. And then there's no engine being protected underneath. So if a couple of things wobble, there's nothing there to back it up. And the lesson that most people take from that is, do more marketing, do more sales, do more this. But the lesson I took was that acquisition can't depend on bursts of effort, right? Because it disappears when you need it. It needs to be systemized in a way that you can do and not feel like it's a huge burden. It can't be 4 hours a day, for example, like Alex Hormozy will tell you, or, Gary V, let's post 300 pieces of content a day because I've got time and a team of 300 people to do it. So the problem is when your business gets delivery heavy, you stop, if things are good, you stop, you coast, a quiet month arrives, and then you're like, shit, I need to do marketing again. So I rebuilt everything. And once I did it incorrectly, and then at the beginning of this year, I did it again from my office, from my house, and basically started publishing daily in public from January using email as my engine. And now I get messages arriving from people that have already decided they want to work with me because they've seen the body of work that I've been putting out there. They've seen that it compounds. and they feel like they know me before they've ever met me. And that's why in January I abandoned sales calls and all of that other crap and DMs and whatnot, which is what I'm going to teach you today. Okay. So if we think about the methods that people will give you for solving this problem, okay? So one of the things you'll hear a lot and you'll see a lot probably all over Facebook ads and everything else is, why don't you just scale with AI? You know, scale with AI, scale. Well, yeah, it works. You get volume, you get speed, you might get some reach. Like if you, as we mentioned earlier, if you take any of your expert ideas right now, any areas, and you ask ChatGPT or Claude to give you a value post, it will, right? And it does a decent job in a few seconds. But what nobody tells you is that that decent job is the same as what everyone else's AI is doing, right? It's the same tips, the same carousels, the same voice. You see it all over the feeds every single day. But you might not have clocked of why it's all identical now, right? And the reason is because there's no personalization or differentiation, no history. And the things that you actually know better than anyone are not in there. There's no reason for people to trust that you know their situation, that you've been through it, or that you've built the muscles to take them from where they are now to where they want to be. And the best that, you know, the better that method works, the more invisible you get. Like I almost want to cry when I see adverts that say, create 3 months of content in 10 minutes. Just give me $49 and I'll show you how, right? That's just, you're not building a brand. You're just adding noise to the floor. So then the second method that people will say, oh, it's just hours. You just need to put more hours in. And what that basically means is grind in the DMs and do lots of sales calls. Now, I can't dismiss it because, as I mentioned at the beginning, it got me to 6 figures last year. But there's a cost that nobody prices in to doing this method, right? You're looking at 15 to 30 minutes per DM conversation, okay, per one conversation. You're looking at getting sort of 5 to 10%, 10% if you're really good, to ever reach a call. And then you're doing a 15-minute discovery, an hour-long call, and then closing like a $7,000 or $8,000 or pound program. And it's call after call after call. And that's costing you at least 4 hours a day if you're good at it, minimum. It also gives you serious anxiety if you ever take a week off, right? Because you come back to all of that. Like I remember coming back and taking a week off, my wife asking me, can we go somewhere for a week? And I feel physically sick about having to come back and think about all the extra hours I was going to have to do and the opportunities that I'd forget and all the stuff that people say about you need to reply to people now and be quick enough to like get people in, get them in the pipeline, get them going now, start them now, they're ready now. It's not a strategy. And then you add to that all the commenting hours that people tell you to do, where you're basically writing bullshit comments on people's posts and calling it a strategy, right? Because everyone says LinkedIn doesn't like post and ghost. That's a total myth, by the way. I stopped commenting on anybody's stuff about a month ago, and it's made no difference to my reach whatsoever. I now occasionally comment if I see something interesting. So you can take that out of your workload straight away. And then on the market side, everyone's been sold these programs. I'm sure some of you have bought programs for $10,000, $15,000, where it's basically grind and hustle with some sort of guarantee of, if you keep doing this all the time, eventually, you know, you'll beat everybody and you'll get there. But it never compounds. It never changes. It just becomes sick and tiring for you and for them. And the more and more people that are arriving into the market, younger people doing the exact same thing, like they're doing even more and more volume, it's just getting worse and worse. It's the lowest barrier entry approach to marketing is to go and spam people with loads of messages and have conversation. So if you genuinely enjoy sales calls, right, you can probably leave now. Okay. This is not the masterclass for you. If it's something you genuinely enjoy, then that's fine. And you can go on with your day. I'm not going to waste your time for another 40 minutes. And then the last one, there's a classic, right? I hear this all the time. Oh, all you need to do is just run ads. So ads work, of course they work, but they only work when you've got something that already converts organically. If you look at the people crushing it with ads, they already have loads of followers, they have proven offers, and they also have the ability to outspend you at 10 to 1. Ads are getting more and more expensive all of the time, right? So if you haven't found a way to convert well organically or consistently, then ads are just going to make you lose money faster because you're paying for every lead forever and you still end up at sales calls at the end anyway. You still haven't got a free calendar. So now you're paying for the privilege of being tied to your calendar. Yeah, you might get the few hours a day back for doing the outreach, but you're still paying for it. So this is the whole thing, right? I started my business for freedom. I want to take my kids to school every day. I want to go to the beach on Tuesday if I feel like it, right? I didn't build it to rent my calendar back from Meta or LinkedIn or whatever else, okay? And I'm not also going to stand here and tell you there's an easy way because there isn't, right? If you got into business because you thought it would be easy, quit now and go get a job while you still can, right? It's never going to be easy. It's always going to be difficult. But there is a better way. And there's a way that compounds where the work you do this week is still working for you in 6 months. And it doesn't need a massive audience to do either. And it's a way that keeps improving as long as you do and as long as you're consistent and follow the process. Okay. So I'm going to show you a little bit of some of my results with a very small audience. I don't have a big audience. And then I'm going to teach you the things that I came here today to show you. Okay. So let me just share my screen. As I promised, it's a Notion, so it's not going to be too crazy.
Yeah.
Yes?
Sorry to interrupt you. Can I just ask a question? You said we could ask questions.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So you just made the comment about how you've stopped spending so much time engaging with people on LinkedIn and you might say something randomly if you find it really interesting. But that's clearly after you've already built up some kind of presence.
Yes and no, right? So right now I have 850 people on my email list,
Uh,
and I've got about 7,000 connections, which I've built up over the last 2 years. But none of those connections have ever come from me commenting on people's stuff, right? Like I've never noticed me going and commenting on, and let me just make a distinction here. None of them have ever come from me commenting on people's stuff. Great post. Fantastic insight. That was wonderful. Or copying and pasting into AI and getting whatever output it gives me, right? They've come from me actually seeing something I'm interested in and I know about and writing a proper comment, right? So yes and no. Yeah. And the reason that I stopped it was because I just thought, what's this actually bringing me? What value is this bringing me? I've got my VA doing all these comments. So the thing I do mostly on the feed now on LinkedIn is click the cross for any content that's just really boring and dull and doesn't interest me. So I gradually get more people. But it's a good question, and it's a fair challenge. This sort of answers. Does that answer the question? Sorry, before I
yeah,
dive back in.
thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this sort of gives you an idea, right? So I make some short videos. These are some of the watch time. So I started making shorts. I do some that I cut from my longer form video content, which is totally unscripted. And I do some like comedy skits and funny things as well. And these videos on average, even if they're comedy, take me about 20 minutes to make. And I got like 6.4 hours of watch time off 500 views. All right. So I'm not going viral, okay, in any way, shape, or form. But if you imagine like at 500 views of a video, how many LinkedIn posts does someone have to read before they can get that level of like watching your stuff and getting to know what you're about and getting to know, like, and trust you, right? So there's just a couple of examples here, but this is basically every time I make a short video, I get between an hour and 6.5 hours of view time. Okay. And most of those are cut from longer content, although I do make comedy, which I won't subject any of you to today. If you want to go and have a look, you'll see it on my profile. Um, when I was in month 3 of my email list, I got to $6,200 in sales. And at the time, my list was 500 people. In fact, this was the list at the time. So this is back in April to May. I did add quite a few people that month. So you can see I literally started this in January this year. And I was able to collect from that email list, from offers I made to that email list with no sales calls, 6,200 US dollars, which shows you, right? Viral is not the goal. It's not about like having a massive list and starting when you only have, yeah, a huge list. So I did actually work out, but I can't find where I wrote the note down somewhere. But it's a crazy number of posts. It's like thousands of posts that you need to be able to do that. So that video, like, the numbers prove attention, but the next is like that next number of value proves what happens to that attention when it lands somewhere that you actually own, which is an email list. And whatever anyone tells you about email, it is the absolute gold standard of anything, right? There is no better place to have people, particularly now that spam filters are so good, than an email list. You might be afraid of sending too many emails or whatever else. I can tell you the more emails you send, the better things are, right? And then I post satire sometimes as well. I post something called the satire reduction framework, which was a joke. People on LinkedIn were actually replying to me and saying that saying that they wanted to know the framework, right? And I get messages like this all the time. So this guy, I really like your sad clown post. I'm curious about what you do with email marketing, right? It's not connected in any way, shape, or form to what like my post was about, but I'm showing that I understand the industry and I'm being myself and showing my personality. So people message me like this, or Jack, I'm not going to comment on your last post, but I fucking love it. Excuse my French. And here you go, right? So again, down to those daily emails, someone messaged me this one was particularly great. I love your voice. You share with what you're up to, blah 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 blah. It's a lovely meta ninja approach. So this is what I'm saying. We're not spamming people in the email list every day. We're showing personality, right? So that's the thing, right? 60 to 70% of people that ever buy my stuff never like, never comment, ever. They just turn up in my inbox because they're quietly deciding whether or not they want to work with me. Like that sad clown post only had a few hundred impressions on it, but someone messaged me because it was something different to what they'd seen everywhere else. Okay. So yeah, this last one, how could you help me? I see the potential on LinkedIn, but I find all of the unauthentic attention seekers extremely irritating, which makes LinkedIn a friction point for me. There's a lot of people that feel like this right now. Okay. It's a huge opportunity to do things differently. And I'm not saying that I don't do outreach anymore. So that's the other thing I'm going to teach you in a moment today is like, I still reach out to people. Okay. But as I mentioned at the beginning, I don't do these long DM conversations. So I'll talk you through that in a second. Next bit. See, I told you, as soon as I get slides out, I'm all over the place. A little bit of track record. I'm not going to, again, go into these too deeply, but these are all parts of the system that I've worked with clients on before. People no longer feeling gross. Billy, who closed a 6K client within 5 weeks or 6 weeks. And Jeff, whose newsletter, he's got quite a lot of subscribers and followers, but we built it to 20,000 people from 4,000 over, quite a short period of time. Brian is a coach, so he never really, I think he might be in it actually, funnily enough. I think I saw him pop in, which is weird because I know he's on the US time zone. Billy is from the UK. He was doing cold pitching before, and I told him to lead with value and build connections, and that worked really well for him. And he was super skeptical because he'd seen all the systems that were going. He'd been on LinkedIn since 2019. He's not someone who's never run a business before, right? He's brand new to it. Okay. And then I'm going to now show you how that all fits together. So let me just close some of these things up. And I'm going to talk to you quickly about my map. Okay. So the way I set things out is people are always at 3 stages of their business. They're either at the known stage, where basically they're not creating enough content. So they might be posting here or there. They find it really difficult to come up with enough ideas. They're always like, something comes up, there's something going on in their business, kind of like I was when I was running my agency. I'm just so busy. I'm getting things coming through from referrals anyway. So I'm not really that, I'm not really pushing that much in terms of my content. The other reason you can have a known problem is simply just because you don't have a good process and a system, and the AI content makes you cringe and you don't want to be part of that, putting it out there like everybody else, right? The second part is a trusted problem. So what indicates to me, and I made a YouTube video on this as well, which you can check out. What trusted is for me is they're posting a lot. They're posting 5 days a week. They may be sending emails. They may be making videos. They're doing all of the things that they're supposed to be doing, but there's no personality in there. There's nothing that makes them stand out from the crowd. It's things like, here's 5 ways you can improve your leadership, or here's 6 tips for when you apply for your next job, or all of these kinds of things, or carousels that just don't lead to anything, right? They don't really give anything. And that gives you the attention that moves people across to the ground you own, which is the email. And then you can be even more open and honest about stuff because they've decided that, excuse me, that they wanted to be in your world. And most people do assume they've got a known problem and they go chasing reach and they think that they need, more and all of that. But it's almost always trusted, right? You're visible, but you're interchangeable to everybody else in your industry. And then the last one is nerdily, I quite like better, but it's the bought area. It's that you've got like no clear pipeline of how people move from finding your content to joining your newsletter to opting in on a lead magnet to buying a lower priced offer to going into your group and then your one-to-one programs depending on how you work, right? And this one's actually the easiest one to solve because that is the same basic process for everybody. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to mention at the beginning. So if you do stay to the end of this, I'm going to give away, I built an AI playbook, which maps this whole picture. And it also tells you where I use AI in all of these three areas and where I totally ban it. Another cringe story about me. So last year I convinced myself that I couldn't take good photographs. So I decided to start using AI images of myself all over LinkedIn. Has anyone done that? You can let me know in the chat if you have. And these AI images,
At
like,
least a few.
yeah, right. They make you look dead smooth and good and like,
Oh,
all of
perfect.
this stuff. Yeah, you're perfect. You look like whatever, like a Hollywood star. And then, but how can people ever learn to trust you if they've never seen your actual face? None of us are here buying people's faces, right? It's a candid selfie or something like whatever is much better. But yeah, so I built a playbook which I'll give to you, and you can get it. I'm not going to go too much into bought now. Okay, so down to the demo, the teaching bit, right? So my outreach is not about chasing people or cold pitching. Remember the analogy I gave at the beginning, where most outreach, and you can again tell me if you've sent these and you've cringed, or if you've received them and you've cringed. Most outreach is knocking on someone's door and asking them to give you something. Okay. Now, with the value first approach that I use, you arrive giving them something. You become the bringer of opportunity. It's like knocking on someone's door and asking them if they want a free box of chocolates, for example. And it's totally up to them to say, get lost, you weirdo. I have no idea who you are and I don't know where those chocolates have been. Go away, take them away from my door. Or for you to accept the chocolates and go, oh, they're actually pretty good. I like that, right? And if you imagine the difference between landing in someone's inbox and saying, oh, quick question, or I love what you're doing, all of these things, 7 paragraphs about a framework, the 65 services they can help you with, versus something that lands from you that they can actually use with no visible strings, right? We're not even dressing it up, and I'm going to show you the exact message that I use and the numbers that I've got from it. So the message here is the whole content, right? It's one person reading it, getting it, and they get to decide if they trust the message and if they want to opt in to the thing. So here it is, right? This is literally the outreach message that I send. Hi, name. I built a free tool that reads your post and gives you specific feedback. Want me to set you up with access? Ta-da! That's it. Right? No conversation. And to be honest, when I first did this, it surprised me. I thought it was going to destroy my numbers of response rates or whatever else. I never send this to anybody that doesn't accept my connection request because I don't believe in just like pitching things to people that haven't even accepted my request. That is literally the message. And you can see here some examples of people's replies, right? Yeah, certainly. Yeah, cool, brilliant. Let me in. Blah, 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 whatever. And here's the numbers from like 3 weeks from week 14, whenever that was, like from can't remember where I set the numbers at, but you can see 56% of anybody in this week that got my connection request accepted it, and 37% of those people gave me their email address gladly, right? And I didn't just go in and say, hey, here's the thing, here's the link, go and do it yourself. Want me to set you up with access, want me to do this for you, and people opted in. And I'll show you what the lead magnet does as well. So it's not like a PDF or anything like that. The lead magnet itself is a tool they can use. So they can go in 5 times a week. They get to use it for free. They can grade a post. So they simply go in and paste that. And it gives them feedback on every area of their content, right? And I built this with AI from an old PDF that I had that already existed in my business. Okay. So it's not like I had to go and invent anything new and become a coder or whatever else. I do have quite a bit of experience with that stuff. I'm not a coder, but I do know a lot about AI because I've been in it for a long time. Um, so there you go, right? You're giving them a piece of information that they can use. They get value from it. They get to know what your branding's like. They then join your email list, which I'm going to teach you that in a second. The welcome sequence, how do you bring them into your world and show them what you're about? And there's, of course, like there's a whole process behind it, right? So like, who do you send it to? Who do you target? When do you do it? What happens after they respond? All of these extra things, of course, make sense. But I'm going to tell you where all that lives anyway. So yeah, email. That's the next bit. So I'm really passionate about email because for years and years, and I'm going to stop sharing and I'll come back to this. For
Can
you
I,
look like you've got a
sorry,
question. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, can I just jump in again?
You can,
Um,
yeah.
Thanks. So what you've just shown us there, that's pretty, that's valuable
Yeah.
for somebody who can go back and use it every week. And so that's specific to what you can offer. But what if, you're somebody like me and I'm thinking, okay, so how could I offer something that's of equivalent value to that somebody would want to go back and reuse? What if you don't have something like that?
Good question. So what do you do?
I'm a leadership coach and strategic advisor.
And do you have any lead magnets at the moment?
No, not really. But
Okay.
I am in the process of creating one now.
Yeah, so I work with a guy down in London. We built him like a front end AI chat agent, right? And what he has is he has like this classic sheet of questions you can answer that he then reviews, and it gives you like a this is where you're at. Okay. And what we did is we
Yeah.
took that and we upgraded it into like a chat bot that could also recommend and advise based on those things, and then do like a weekly check-in and remember what's next. So that's one option for it. But the other thing is, it's like it doesn't really matter how good the tool is. In some ways, I feel like this tool is almost too good because what I really
Mm,
want is I want them to join my email list and I want them to learn about me, right? So I think this tool in itself is really really good because content is
mm,
what I do. But there will always be something that you can use and get them into the email list, which is part of what I figure out with people, right? And normally
okay.
it's already hiding inside their own business. It's not anything new. They've got it. It's
Mhm.
just we need to evolve it to be the thing that it needs to become. Does that answer that?
Yes, thank you.
No worries. So before I go into this, right? So daily emails, again, this is something that people often object about because they say, I don't want to send daily emails. People are not going to want to read emails every single day. Well, I do right now have 30% open rates on all of my emails to my email list, which stupidly I didn't take a screenshot of, but I do. You have to believe me. You have to trust me. And I send an email every single day, 7 days a week. In fact, when people get my welcome email, they get the welcome email and they get my daily email. So if they decide at that point it's too much and they want to unsubscribe, that's fine. Because my daily email isn't marketing, it's presence. The reason I publish every single day is because my thinking changes every single day. And day after day, they're reading this stuff and that decision is like quietly forming in their mind. Okay. So that I call out right at the beginning in my welcome sequence. So the welcome sequence itself's job is to either get people to leave or get them to want to stay, right? They have 5 jobs in order. So I'll show you what that looks like in my actual sequence. And I think it'll be the second to last time I have to figure out how to screen share. I don't look old, but I feel it. Maybe I do look old. That was a no boost like a self boost. So email one is literally, right, sets the expectations and installs my worldview into them. Okay. So in this email, I'm telling them what I do. I send one email every day. Okay. If daily emails annoy you, there's some subscriber links at the bottom. Okay. And then this is basically talking about the way I think, my philosophy, my thesis, and all of that stuff. right? I don't care if they unsubscribe at that point. I'm not in the business of collecting subscribers. I couldn't care less, right? I'd rather have a list of like 800 people that buy stuff from me than a list of 10,000 people that I'm too scared to email because they might unsubscribe. Okay. Then email two is where you prove that you're human. And usually this is the worst story that you've got, right? So for me, it's the story I told you at the beginning of running an agency that was making 30, 35K a month revenue while towards the end asking my mum for rent money. Okay. Because usually the reason you do what you do came from something really shit. Okay. Roses generally grow from some kind of shit that happened. And then from email 3 to 5, you could depends how many you've got, right? Email 3 gives them that mirror so that they can diagnose themselves in what you do. So they can see themselves in your story, right? So for me, I'm talking about people usually come asking me to review their content, their website, their emails. And sometimes it's that, but often it's not that at all, right? It's normally something that started much earlier, and it's generally because they've tried to create this persona of someone who's got everything figured out. Okay. And I know because I did it myself. I was like, I want to look like the guy who's got all of the lead gen world figured out and I never get anything wrong. And I'm just going to tell you all exactly how to do it because I know. Follow me. And it just doesn't work because it's not true, right? Nobody's in that position. If we were, we wouldn't be here. Okay. And then the fourth email, the job, is it kills whatever false fix is going on in their world right now. Okay. So, and you can apply this again to all different industries, right? But it's what's that thing that they think, oh, no, it's okay. I'm going to do that and that's going to solve it. And in my world, it's AI mostly, right? It's basically, I can just use AI and it's going to fix it. People told me if I post value every day, eventually I'll get discovered and people will buy my stuff. It's just not true, right? It just is never going to happen. Okay. Trust me, I know. I did it for a very long time and it didn't work. The year before I did the outreach stuff, I was just relying on content and it was not doing anything at all because it's just so crowded these days. And then the last email is the system itself. So, what's your system? How does it work? How does it make you stand out? Why you're in a position that you can teach that system? And it points out that they're inside there. Okay. And some of you guys will have got emails from me before today. Some of you I will have found and come across on LinkedIn. Some of you would have got an invite. All of you will now be on my email list, which you can feel free to unsubscribe from, as I mentioned at the beginning. If daily emails are not for you, you can leave. I don't mind. I'm not going to get offended. And obviously, there's a lot behind this, right? I'm not showing you today because it would take me hours and hours how to write the emails, the AI systems I do use, the subject line, text setups, all of this stuff, right? Because that is too much for this session. But I'm just trying to give you an idea of a different way of doing things. So I got a question that maybe has crossed your minds before, okay? What would happen to your business if your social media accounts disappeared tonight? And you can be honest here. You can literally say nothing because I get all my business through referrals, right? And it's not giving
nothing would happen.
It's not giving you anything at all, which then will be in that trusted area probably because I'm assuming you're posting.
Yes.
Right. And if you are getting some success for it, like what do you own after that? The only thing that you can truly own is an email list. It's the only thing that will last throughout all of that stuff until the robots take over and, it's like John Connor time situation or whatever ends up happening. Okay. So let me just talk back through here. So I've told you about value first outreach and how that works. I've given you the email spine of the welcome sequence. The other bits that I haven't gone into today is the content engine itself. So like the daily videos, the longer videos, the brand process that I take people through, like all of these other things that are required to do the system. So it's two pieces of the machine. Now, what I also do after this, and this is the thing that I get asked about the most, is the offer process, right? Because clearly I'm making offers. So what I do is I create 14 days or between 12 and 14. I move it around depending on the offer of emails where I'm not pitching every single day, but the sales happen anyway. And that was how I got to the $6,200. So The reason I'm not opening that today and telling you about it is because it's pure implementation. It's a process you can follow that once you've built an offer doc in a certain way, you can run this email process. And it's also the how, and the how of all of this is in the program, right? So everything connects and basically connects back to that program. So let me go back to just to wrap things up, right? So before we do Q&A, we've still got some time. And yeah, good. We're good. So normally what's keeping people stuck, and it may well be the same for you, is not strategy. Okay. It's not courses. Like I've spent 50 grand on courses over the last 2.5 years. So I know that feeling. It's not knowledge either, right? You're the expert. And it's not even the fact that you don't have time because you're already spending time doing stuff on content. It's probably fear. And that fear I know because I did it for years. I used to change my LinkedIn headline every week, like trying to make it sound better, trying to make it sound more professional. And it's not me trying to optimize. It's not marketing like I tell myself that it is. It's a man that's scared of being seen, right? I'm a big personality offline, and I realized that my personality online was this big, and my offline personality was this big. Now I'm not quite showing this much because I don't want to get cancelled, but you know, I've moved out a long way. So posting expertise all the time, it feels safe, and if your value post flops, right, you know that the post failed and it's not you. If you actually put yourself out there, your stories, the scars you've got, the stuff that makes you you, and then it flops, that feels personal, right? So we all hide behind being professional and thinking that that's the way LinkedIn and all these other platforms are. And we call it that it's our standards. But the bit that should worry you is you used to be able to hide and it didn't cost you anything. You could blend in, do what everyone else did on LinkedIn, post, and nothing bad would ever happen. Okay. But it's not the case anymore. Content, as I mentioned, 50% higher, reach is down again. Like it will be down again next year. It's not, you're not going to be stuck a year from now because of bad luck or bad algorithms, right? The people that are going to be stuck is because that fear kept them being professional, polished, not being honest, not sharing their real things. And even, I want to call this one out directly, Karen, if you don't mind, even leaders are people as well, right? So
Oh,
they,
totally.
and a lot of leaders, they're funny because that's how they became leaders. That, you know, they've got an edge, right? That's how
Yeah,
you end up being a leader. So
yeah.
you can tap into that by doing that, right? Um,
And it's interesting you say that because what I have noticed with all the content that I've created is that the posts that do show some vulnerability are the ones that people are most interested in.
Yeah, exactly that, right? That's exactly the case. And I've seen it the same time and time again. And it's why I'm really glad I made that decision because I felt like I was stuck and doing things that I didn't really enjoy doing for what? So you're not avoiding that risk by staying bland and boring, right? You're just choosing the risk that will kill you slowly. It's not going to make you're not it's not going to get you out of referrals and living that way. Okay? So now it should be the time where I show you more case studies, but I'm not going to because you're in one, right? This is the case study. I am the case study. You're here, you're hearing me share with vulnerability. You've probably seen my content, my emails. I've shown it to you, right? I've shown you some of my case studies from previous stuff, but I'm not going to go into any of that stuff. So, right. Before we just go into the next bit, how many of you have seen my content or my videos before and watched me talk? How many of you are on my email list? Right? You can just pop it in the chat. Um, I can see some questions here. We'll pick these up in the Q&A as well. Just bear with me. Brian as well. Cool. Okay. So you've seen the live case study, right? It's now like 5 p.m. for me in Vietnam on a Thursday, 11 a.m. where you are, and you're an hour deep into this masterclass. I never pressured you to come here. Like I never said you had to do it. You're just in one part of like my system, right? And you're learning about me and what I do. So something of mine reached you. You learned to trust me a bit by watching how I think, and then you decided that you would give me an hour of your time, which I'm grateful for. And that's it, right? So you're watching the case study. This is how it works. This is how it operates. The thing I just demoed is what's been running for weeks and weeks and weeks. Okay. Excellent. Right. So all of you that are still here are going to get the playbook at the end. As promised, I'm not going to bore you with a mega long pitch. I'm just going to tell you the details of my program, and then we will jump into a Q and A. Let me just share my screen one last time. Okay. So this is the first time I've ever launched this program, which is why it's set up the way it is. It's called Impossible to Ignore, which basically is to install the content to client system that keeps working while you sleep and keeps compounding. In those 6 weeks, we build the brand that will connect your content, lead magnet, emails, and your offer into a system that moves people from discovering you to being ready to buy. And yeah, people find your content, they join your list, read your emails, they understand how you think. And the key of it is by the time they then reach out, most of the sales conversations already happened. And instead of you qualifying them qualifying you, it's you qualifying them. I'm not going to talk through it all. Over the 6 weeks, we'll go through the brand engine. It's a group program with 5 people. There will be 6 weeks of curriculum. The brand engine is so awesome that I'm basically people that go through it like say that they need to drink some gin when they're finished. It like takes you really deep into the roots of what you are and how you operate, gives you your hills to die on, all of that kind of stuff. This is the engine that I just talked about. So supporting you with building your lead magnet, your interactive lead magnet, the emails, the offer, and the full pipeline. And then we're going to test it live together in those groups. And then week 4 to 6, we will run an actual offer of 12 days to sprint to test the pipeline basically and get some sales out of it. So it's in October the 12th. It takes 90 minutes a day, 60 to 90 minutes a day for you to run it. So you need to commit for that amount of time. And it starts on September 1st until October the 12th. It's 5 people max. I'm doing 2 time zones because some Americans obviously can't make this time because it's the middle of the night. And there's also a guarantee on it, which if you can't get your system live by October the 12th, then I'll give you 30 days more support inside my VIP in school for free. And it's 1200 USD. So I'm going to drop this. There's like a short application form because as I said at the beginning, I will only work with people that I'm sure I can help. So I'm just going to drop that in the chat now, and then I'm not going to talk anymore about it. I'm also dropping in the chat my my playbook that I promised, which you'll be able to access. It's open on the internet to everybody. So this is like the AI playbook that I talked about at the beginning. And now I'm going to shut up and you can ask me questions if you wish. Shall I just go back? In fact, if you did ask a question in the chat, just feel free to just ask me now publicly and I will answer it directly. Any questions? About anything, by the way, not about the offer. If you're like scared, like, oh, I don't want to ask about the offer because I think he might think I want to buy it. That's not the point. The Q&A is free, right? Yeah, gone.
Has anybody else got a question before I jump in again because I don't want to kind of hog the airtime?
No, you go for it. That's fine.
Okay, so I've been on LinkedIn since 2009. It's like a very long time. And over that time, I've worked or I've hired different people to work with me on this whole LinkedIn thing. And I've also got a background in strategic comms and PR. So last year, in 2025, I worked with an American company hired me and they were selling services of helping people on LinkedIn and they were charging like some people were paying up to $20,000 for this done for you program where
Mm,
all the branding, all the positioning was done. We were using Instantly, Expandy, tons of stuff going on, tons of emails going out. And I have to say, all my experience at that company, only one client got results.
crazy. Yeah, I can believe
So,
it.
and then, so I've had that experience, and then even despite that, I've like I've hired another agency since, and had the promises, we'll do this, we'll do that, and again, zero results. So, I hope the questions comes across politely enough. But what makes you so different from everybody else out there?
It's a good question and it's a fair question. Can I just leave now before I answer, or can I disappear? The difference is that all of these people are not trying to fix the illness. They try and fix different symptoms. So I would imagine if you looked at that company that you worked with that were charging $20,000, they were probably running tons of ads, and most of their KPIs in their business were how many sales do we make, right? So all they care about is making a sale up front and then just giving you whatever systems they've got. They don't care about retention at all. I'm not that
Mm.
big. I have an email list of, 800 people, as I mentioned, 850 people. If I bring people in and they don't get value, it's not going to work very well for me in my future. And that's why I price myself at a level that people can get in and get results. So
Hmm. So basically, everything you've said today, which has been really insightful, thank you very much for all of that. Really appreciate it. But you are confident that that can be applied to anybody on LinkedIn who wants to generate business from the platform.
absolutely, yeah. And I've got
Uh-huh.
clients across all areas. So I have career coaches, I've worked with leadership coaches before, I've got all kinds of coaches, consultants, whatever, some of which are in my paid community right now, and a couple of which are on the call actually. So I think Brian just popped a note down in there.
Yeah, Brian's putting
Uh,
stuff in the chat,
Ben
actually.
as well
Yeah.
is a career coach. So yeah, you can work it in any industry. I even have somebody who's a cryptocurrency coach. So you
Hmm.
can imagine how much crap they get when they turn up in people's inboxes on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Hello, I've got a crypto, and she's actually genuine, like proper investment opportunities crypto, not like,
Mm.
Catcoin or whatever people are investing in and stuff. So yeah, it works. I stand by the system, the process. It works for me. It's the first time I've done this in a 6-week program format, the very first time that I've done it. So fully
Hmm.
transparent about that. But yeah, in it to make it work.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
No problem at all. You're welcome. Any other questions? I'm just going to scan the chat just because I did see a couple in there. Um, I like that one, Richard. Yeah, a lady who used AI to change her profile picture and it disappointed it wasn't Pamela Anderson while was running a networking event. Yeah, I've had it before, right? What's the biggest way to destroy trust? It's they call it catfishing, don't they? If you're on like dating platforms and stuff. I met this guy once who had like a full hair of dreadlocks in his LinkedIn profile picture, and when I got there, he had like two dreadlocks coming out of his head. And I can be quite smug about that as a bold man now because I went through my time of combing over and stuff, and I can be like, "Come on, mate, just shave it off. What's the problem?"
That's funny.
So I get
Mm.
that. Um, cool. All right. Is there any other questions? Yeah, you're
I
right as
had a
well. When
quick
you
question.
go for it, shoot.
Yeah, as someone who personally doesn't like to be on video, I'm kind of curious how you adjust your thinking around that. Like, not my thinking. I know I don't like to be on video. I have health issues, so I don't like to be on video. So I'm just kind of curious, like, how do you like, because it sounded like you were like a lot of your stuff was like video forward. So I'm like, how does that work for someone who doesn't want to be video forward?
Yeah, and again, it's another great question. So, like, if you look at my YouTube, right, I'm on a sprint at the moment where I'm like 15 days into doing a daily long form video. If you go back a bit further, I'm like maybe 8 weeks, 7 or 8 weeks into making like my comedy style and skit videos. But they're just one area where I'm scaling, getting more people onto my email list. Like the end goal for me is getting people onto my email list. So if you can't and you don't want to spend time on video, you just make better lead magnets, you make more content, you make more open content that's honest about where you're at, and you work it that way, right? So before 8 weeks ago, I wasn't using video in any meaningful way to drive my numbers. It was all LinkedIn posts and getting people onto my email list by sharing my lead magnet.
Thanks.
No, you're welcome. Um, Cool. We've got 1 minute left. Is there any more questions? If there isn't, I'm going to go because it's my 9-year-old's birthday today, and I'm sure I'm already in trouble because she would have been home 30 minutes ago from school. So I'm going to go and
Oh, happy
do
birthday.
blow balloons up and do all of that kind of stuff. By the end of today, I will send out the replay for this. And with the replay, if you did want more information, there will be the offer page in there as well. So you can read it all through in your own time. And if you're on my email list, well, you will be. You will have my email address. So when I send out the recording, you'll be able to ask me questions if you need to, or whatever else that you want.
I've got a last question.
Go for it. I love it. It's good because
Yeah.
otherwise it's quiet. So
So, in terms of like an email list, I've been terrible over the years of maintaining an email list, curating an email list. So I would say that right now I don't really have an email list that I would feel comfortable using in the way that you've shown today. So how would you approach that?
So that's the point of the outreach, right? Like we're going to be reaching out to people. How many connections do you have on LinkedIn? Because you said you've been in since 20.
Almost 5,000.
So we can message people that are in your past list as well with the lead magnet to build it up quicker.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Not a problem at all. All right, guys, thank you very much for coming along. I will, on the email as well, I will put the playbook if you didn't have a chance to bookmark it. That will be there too. But thank you very much for coming, everybody. Appreciate your questions.
Thank you.
And I will
Could I
see
just
you.
quickly ask, just on that LinkedIn bit, is there an easy way to download your contacts off of LinkedIn?
Yeah, there is, and I can show you. So yeah, there is. If you go to your profile, hold on, let me just dig into it. You go into profile, settings and privacy, and then you go to where is it? Settings and privacy, data privacy.
Yeah.
Download your data, download larger data archive, and then request the archive. And then they'll email you in 25 hours, 24 hours, and you will get all of the list of everybody you're connected to.
Okay, so that's not just your information that you're downloading, you get your contacts list as well.
You do. Yeah, you get a full contact list out of that as well. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
Not a problem at all. All right, guys, take care. Have a nice afternoon,
Thank
evening,
you, Ja.
night.
Thanks for your
Morning.
time and
Yeah.
expertise. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.